welcome to The Deep Dive. Have you ever, found yourself trying to make sense of really complex international headlines, wishing there was just a clear path to being, truly well-informed? Today, we're doing exactly that. We're diving deep into a recent, rapidly unfolding conflict, and it really profoundly illustrates just how intricate the Middle East still is, even after some major regional shifts. Our mission for this deep dive is to distill the most vital insights from, a whole stack of sources. We've got detailed news reports from AP, Al Jazeera, geopolitical intelligence from especially Eurasia, even a look at the region's historical security setup. We're going to help you unpack the full picture, the recent clashes in southern Syria, these surprising interventions, and what it all really means for the wider region.
Yeah, and what becomes immediately clear when you look at these sources is just how swiftly local tensions can escalate and how they draw in major regional, sometimes even international players. We'll be basically tracing a direct line from what seems like a local robbery all the way to widespread displacement. And it's all happening against this backdrop, this really delicate balance of power that dictates how capitals like, say, Jerusalem and Damascus respond.
Okay, so let's start there. Let's set the scene. Suwayda. It's a province in southern Syria, mostly home to the Druze, right? A distinct ethno-religious group. Our sources seem to pinpoint the exact moment these recent, pretty intense clashes ignited. What was the spark? How did it spiral so fast?
Well, it all kicked off on Sunday, July 13th, 2025. It started with a robbery. You had a Druze vegetable merchant on the main Damascus-Suwayda highway. He was assaulted by members of Sunni Bedouin tribes. Reports say they stole his vehicle, his belongings, subjected him to sectarian insults, even threatened his life. Then they released him, but blindfolded and in critical condition. Yeah. And this immediately triggered a chain reaction. Tit-for-tat attacks, kidnappings between the communities, and it escalated really rapidly into full-blown armed clashes. We're talking by that same day, July 13th. Mortars, heavy weapons were involved. They even cut off the Damascus-Suwayda highway.
So a criminal act just blows up into something much bigger.
Exactly. What's striking is how something that looks isolated, like a crime, can just ignite these deep-seated, older, tribal rivalries that have been simmering for a long time, often made worse by ongoing stuff like smuggling and extortion in that area.
Okay, so this brings us to a really critical point.
Yeah.
The new Syrian interim government. We're only at, 7 months out from the fall of the Assad regime back in December 2024. And the new leader, Ahmed al-Sharaa, he specifically promised to protect minorities. So how did they handle this eruption? What was the immediate fallout?
Right. Well, initially on July 14th, Syrian government forces did intervene. Ostensibly, their goal was restoring order. However, reports quickly started coming out suggesting they were actually taking the Bedouin side against the Druze.
Really? Siding with one group?
That's what the reports indicated. And this led to very serious accusations, atrocities against Druze civilians. We're talking summary executions, widespread looting, burning homes. Now, on the flip side, Syrian state media later reported massacres of Bedouins by Druze factions, so a very divided narrative.
Deeply divided.
It absolutely calls into question the new government's ability to actually consolidate control, and deliver on those promises. They did announce a ceasefire on July 15th. It was mediated by the U.S., Turkey, Arab countries, but a prominent Druze leader, Sheikh Hikmat al-Hijri, he immediately disavowed it, said no, urged his fighters to resist this brutal campaign.
So the ceasefire just fell apart?
Almost immediately, yeah. Clashes resumed pretty much straight away.
And we even saw some reporting, I think a video from The Sun that highlighted this disconnect, right?
Yep.
Noting al-Sharia's actions were, quote, a far cry from his conciliatory words. It really seems like protecting all minorities in such a fractured state is easy. Well, it's much easier said than done.
Indeed. It's a stark reminder of the immense challenges on the ground.
Okay, but then perhaps the most impactful development in this whole thing, Israel's direct intervention. That's hardly a common occurrence in this kind of situation, is it?
No, you're absolutely right. It's highly unusual. On July 16th, Israel launched dozens of airstrikes, and these were on Syrian government forces. A massive escalation. They hit the Syrian Defense Ministry headquarters right in central Damascus, even targets near the presidential palace.
Wow. And their stated reason.
The IDF was very explicit. They said their intent was to protect the Druze minority in southern Syria. Now, this intervention, it has really significant implications for Israel. See, the Druze community inside Israel is substantial, and they're deeply integrated into Israeli society. They serve in the military, often in very senior positions.
Right, I've read about that.
Exactly. And one senior IDF official actually warned that abandoning the Syrian Druze could create an unhealable rift, could even risk, quote, civil war within our own borders in Israel. We even saw reports of thousands of Israeli Druze trying to cross the border to go help.
But it's important to point out this isn't a monolithic view, right?
Yeah.
Even within the Druze community itself, there are differing perspectives.
Precisely. That's a key point. While you had Israeli Druze calling for intervention, the spiritual leader of the Druze community in Lebanon, Sheikh Sami Abi al-Muna, explicitly rejected Israeli protection. He stated it would be, quote, harmful to our history and identity, and would give, quote, an excuse for blowing up the situation in the region.
So very complex.
Very. It clearly highlights these multi-layered identities, the complex loyalties at play here within the community and across different countries.
So with these deep divisions, these external interventions, what's been the immediate devastating impact on the ground for the ordinary people caught in the middle of all this?
The humanitarian toll is severe, just grim. The UN Migration Agency reported nearly 80,000 people displaced just since the clashes began on July 13th.
80,000.
80,000. Essential services, think water, electricity, they've collapsed. Telecommunications are widely disrupted. And the health facilities both in Suwayda and neighboring Dara, they're under immense strain. Aid deliveries are severely hampered. The UN says Suwayda remains largely inaccessible for, much-needed humanitarian and medical supplies.
And accountability. What about reports of violations?
That's a crucial question. There are credible reports indicating widespread human rights violations by all factions involved. That includes government forces, Druze fighters, and Bedouin fighters. We're hearing about summary executions, arbitrary killings, kidnappings, the destruction and looting of homes. After the Syrian army withdrew, Druze fighters reported finding, quote, entire houses had been set on fire, families slaughtered inside homes, and looting. Just horrific accounts.
Truly horrific. Given this dire situation, how have other international actors responded? You mentioned the U.S. mediating the ceasefire attempt. And maybe more broadly, how does this localized conflict fit into that bigger geopolitical chessboard of the Middle East?
Well, the U.S. has definitely been active in mediation. U.S. envoy Tom Barrack announced a new ceasefire attempt between Israel and Syria, this one supported by Turkey and Jordan. He appealed for Druze, Bedouins, and Sunnis to unite. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio expressed deep concern. He stated the U.S. was pushing Israel to halt its strikes, but interestingly, he also emphasized that U.S. intelligence didn't confirm Syrian government involvement in those sweet atrocities we discussed.
Okay, so some nuances there in the U.S. position.
Right. And looking bigger picture, this conflict, while it seems localized in Suwayda, it really serves as a microcosm of a larger pattern across the Middle East, a pattern our sources describe as escalation and fragmentation. You have the ongoing Israeli-Iranian confrontation, which has created this new escalation ladder. Syria itself, as we've seen, remains highly fragmented. The Islamic State still retains the capacity for high-impact attacks there. And this broader struggle for influence between Moscow, Tehran, Ankara, Brussels, Washington, it's intensifying across the wider region, too. Internal strife, unresolved disputes, they're all driving further instability.
So wrapping this up, what does it all mean for us trying to understand this? We've really delved into a conflict that started with local triggers but was rapidly amplified by complex sectarian dynamics, the fragility of Syria's new government, and this incredibly intricate web of regional security interest.
Yeah, and I think this deep dive really leaves us, and leaves you, our listener, with a pretty profound question. In a region where internal divisions are just so easily exploited, where external actors are constantly vying for influence, what does it actually take to forge a new and united Syrian identity? One that can find peace and prosperity with its neighbors? How can stability possibly be achieved when trust is so fundamentally fractured and basic humanitarian needs just aren't being met?
That is a truly sobering thought. The layers we've peeled back today really reveal that the path to stability in southern Syria and, frankly, the wider Middle East is just fraught with profound challenges. It requires understanding and diplomacy at every single level.